All right, picking up with page 381, going to try to make it to page 400. We are getting really close to page 430, which is the last page. All right, $300,000 whore. Where Les stand on this? Where's Les stand on this? Because Lonnie was telling me yesterday that Les is talking about coming back earlier and he's ready to go to battle. Barney, okay, I talked to Les just a couple of days ago. $300,000 whore, yeah. Barney, he called me, and what he's told me at that time, I don't know where you were. $300,000 whore, yeah, we did a pretty good job of keeping it from you. Barney, yeah, $300,000 whore. I asked Schaeffer, I said, should I tell Coleman? Oh no, let's not tell anybody. Let's Cox, yeah, $300,000 whore. When we're on the phone, ask everybody if they've heard from Coleman. So every time I'd get on the phone to Coleman or Ken, Barney, $300,000 whore. Have you heard from Schaeffer? No. Oh, Barney, yeah, I didn't know. You could have been in Jerusalem for all I knew. Cox, and get away from the action. Barney, yeah. Cox, what have we come to? I'm going to go to the Mideast to get away. $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, from this war-torn, $300,000 whore. Yeah, Ken, bless his heart, what was he thinking? Barney, yeah, but he said he takes Inaudible that. He said, I know he's ready to go, Inaudible, just tell him, I think now's about the time. I think the environment's war is going to be coming pretty soon. But he said, tell him to just had a whole backing in that stand at faith for now. Mr. Cox, okay? Barney, he said, I think the environment's being created right now. $300,000 whore. Yes, so, Cox, alright, so, $300,000 whore. He's on the same page, yeah? Cox, okay, so we're all thinking the same. $300,000 whore. Yeah, good. Cox, Lonnie's just desperate. $300,000 whore. Yeah, because I was kind of worried, yeah. Cox, look, if Lonnie loses his house, he's still needed in the war. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore. Yeah, oh yeah. Cox, that's the message for him, is look dude, they got you. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, we might lose. $300,000 whore. We're all going to be, Cox, might lose our houses. $300,000 whore. In the same, yeah. Mr. Cox, we're all going to lose our houses. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, we might lose our family. Some of our wives, children might get killed. So, war. $300,000 whore. Yeah, oh man, boy, that'd be tough. And I could lose my house. And Cox, Inaudible, $300,000 whore. But, Mr. Cox, took my little boy away. $300,000 whore. Yeah, now what? Now that? Barney, Inaudible. Cox, Inaudible, $300,000 whore. That'd be the standpoint for me personally. Mr. Cox, see, that was when that was happening, and I would $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, I would to talk about 2-for-1. That's a 2-for-1. Mr. Barney, oh yeah, $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, without any question. Barney, Inaudible. Cox, they come and they take Coleman's kids. Mr. Barney, oh yeah, $300,000 whore. Then, Mr. Cox, 2-for-1 instantly. $300,000 whore. So, okay, now I get back to this because I want to have this stuff clear in my head. Here's the $300,000 whore again. So, if they come, say tonight, just throwing this out there, they show up at your house because somehow they tracked you here with their satellites or whatever. I mean, this sounds crazy, and they come in, they arrest you, they take Marty for aiding and abetting, and they send your kids off to OCS, Office of Children's Services. Then, is it in order to initiate 2-for-1, What if they come and, Cox, yeah, old $300,000 whore, take you and your wife. Cox, Inaudible, $300,000 whore. That's conveniently Inaudible. We need to go listen to that. $300,000 whore. For aiding them and your kids are gone too, Mr. Barney, yeah, Olson. I mean, it's not going to happen, but I'm just, Cox, Inaudible, that's an order. $300,000 whore. I'm just, Cox, that's an order. When they come for the kids, Barney, when they start taking your family, $300,000 whore. That's Mr. Barney. Inaudible, entirety so. Mr. Cox, I mean, even jerking around you, man, they took Michael Donald and Jerry Wayne and they're tracking down, you know, were men. $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, inaudible war, all right. $300,000 whore, yeah, we can handle it. Mr. Cox, we kind of let him, you know, we can let them. $300,000 whore, innocent little kids. Mr. Cox, when they go after, $300,000 whore, when they take them. Barney, inaudible. Mr. Cox, my children. Mr. Barney, inaudible. Mr. Cox, then that's, I mean, we don't have. Mr. Barney, inaudible, stepped over the line. But that's morally, in my mind, that's $300,000 whore. Yeah, me too. Mr. Barney, yeah. Mr. Cox, we can't wait for it to tip anymore. We just have to go now. $300,000 whore, yeah, Cox, with whatever we've got, whatever you've got. Mr. Barney, yeah, Cox, at the moment it's going to have to be good enough. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, cry out to God to seize the day for you and inaudible timber. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore, and yeah, and then start around. Mr. Barney, well, at that point, if you didn't do something, I think God would. Mr. Cox, you're sinning to not. Mr. Barney, yeah, exactly. Mr. Cox, you're sinning to not. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Barney, yeah. Cox, so that is most, yeah, and I guess you want to hear a little summary about we inaudible. $300,000 whore, yeah, to running around. Mr. Cox, inaudible people. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, over children. $300,000 whore. Hey, yeah, hey, Mr. Cox, and again, I'm sorry I've got to be the center of attention all the time. $300,000 whore, no, but Mr. Cox, with my kids, but $300,000 whore. Hey, Mr. Cox, you know, your little boys out there, little girls, just as precious. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, what kind of men are we if we don't? $300,000 whore. Oh gosh, that's just so. Mr. Cox, I mean, we inaudible your kids and inaudible. $300,000 whore. Oh man, anyone's kids. You start messing with innocent kids, I mean. Mr. Cox, and on top of that, what do they do to them? $300,000 whore. Oh gosh. Mr. Cox, you know, so that is, if that line gets crossed, and we all understand that, $300,000 whore, yeah, Cox, and Les understands that, $300,000 whore, yeah, that's well, we're the family militia. Barney, that and audible have to be discussed. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Barney, inaudible. Mr. Cox, yeah, well, it does indeed need to be discussed, but it's clearly understood. $300,000 whore. Well, I want it okay because unlike Karen and their whole crew, where we're all just buddies and where we're going to do it, I view this as a chain of command. Mr. Cox, $300,000 whore. I take the chain of command seriously. Mr. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore in this, and I want to hear it from Mr. Cox. That's a very $300,000 whore from the someone above me that's an order. Mr. Barney, $300,000 whore. You know, start doing it if such and such happens. Mr. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore. So, Mr. Barney, yeah, we've got definitely protect each other's families. Mr. Cox, $300,000 whore. Yeah, I agree. Mr. Cox, they have to know that is something they can't get away with. $300,000 whore. That they will not. Yeah, now, Mr. Barney, once they can, it's out the oven. $300,000 whore. Yeah, and me personally, Lonnie's different because Lonnie and I have discussed this. If that goes into the case, I'm going to touch their wives and kids. I'll go in for them. I'll go, you know, I don't know how you guys feel about that, but Mr. Cox, well, I'm not going to target women and children, but I'm not opposed to killing them either, you know. I mean, God had them kill men, women, and children, and $300,000 whore. Yeah, I know, but I don't think personally, you know, maybe in the heat of the battle, so to speak, that I might change. Mr. Cox, well, I'm certainly inaudible, shoot them if I can. $300,000 whore, yeah, no. Mr. Cox, but if their kids get killed while they're doing anything bad, $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, I'm not going to cry and suck my thumb over it, but $300,000 whore, yeah, but Mr. Cox, I'm not going to go out of my way. $300,000 whore. Yeah, Mr. Cox, I would go out of my way not to hurt women and children. $300,000 whore. Yeah, that's probably more of what I'm saying. I'm not, Mr. Cox, probably more children than women. $300,000 whore. I'm not, Mr. Cox, inaudible, some women. $300,000 whore. Going to tie dad up and make him sit there and, have this vengeful, well now, I'm going, slit the throat of your little kid while you're, Mr. Cox. Oh, no, that's $300,000 whore. None of that crazy. Mr. Cox, no, that's revenge. $300,000 whore, crazy kind of stuff. Yeah, no, Mr. Cox, that's not self-defense. That's not defense, that's revenge. $300,000 whore. No, exactly, I'm not going to. Cox, yeah. Barney, well, $300,000 whore. I mean, I have no problem taking care of a man, especially when he's instigated and been a party to. That was $300,000 whore that said, I have no problem taking care of a man, especially when he's instigated and been a party to. Mr. Barney, yeah, and me, I myself, I'd probably actually go out of my way a little bit, not even if it's morally right that you could for me. It'd mess me up really. $300,000 whore. Me too, yeah, Mr. Cox, $300,000 whore. I couldn't do it. Now there's a few women, a few of these lawyer type women. Mr. Cox, judges, $300,000 whore, judges. That it might not be difficult, but some trooper's innocent wife, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't. Mr. Barney, $300,000 whore. It'd be different if he shows up, we kick in his door and he shows up, that wouldn't. Mr. Cox, yeah, no, $300,000 whore, be bad. Mr. Cox, do not do that. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, the purpose of killing somebody is to prevent them from killing the innocent. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, you always want to have nobody die, but when blood is unavoidable, inaudible, and so you shed, slay the aggressor. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, and that's tragic and it's horrible, but you can't have mercy. Now there's some stuff, that while it's totally satanic and God will not bless gloating or cruelty, that kind of stuff, I'm not against some like drastic, shocking things either, like, mailing heads to people. $300,000 whore, yeah. I don't want to gloat, just make people suffer. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, to suffer there's no $300,000 whore, no. Mr. Cox, there's no profit in that, to suffer. Mr. Barney, inaudible, $300,000 whore, but sending Mr. Barney, he's freaked out enough about this. Mr. Cox, if it serves the purpose of protecting your family and liberty and law, then okay, $300,000 whore, yeah. But if it's just to satisfy your vengeance and your bloodlust and your anger, that's going to make just a wicked stronghold in the hearts, that's going to dominate you for the rest of your life, $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, you will not, $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, recover from that kind of combat. $300,000 whore, yeah, no. Cox, that will fry your soul. Mr. Barney, yeah. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, the kind of combat where it's like I got no choice, bam, $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, I can't let you keep, well, like John Inaudible says, he says that when they quit operating by law, that then must be treated like lion or tiger or any other beast that knows not of law. $300,000 whore, wow. Cox, all right, $300,000 whore, powerful. Cox, how do you feel when a inaudible moose comes in your backyard where your kids are in there? You shoot the moose. Mr. Barney, yeah. Cox, and then you go up to the moose and you're like, oh well, this is unfortunate, but there's just no choice. Inaudible. Barney, yeah. Cox, and that's the only kind of spirit that we could actually kill people with, and the whole man on the other side, and be a whole man on the other side. Barney, yeah. Cox, I tell you what, slit their throat, tie them up, no, Silence of the Lamb stuff. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, I hope that's all. If Lonnie's talking about that, I hope that's all just getting stuff off his chest. $300,000 whore. Yeah, I think it is. Cox, he must have a lot of anger though. $300,000 whore. Cox, inaudible for what $300,000 whore. I don't know if he was, it was me and him going out and doing stuff, it wouldn't surprise me if he'd be doing something like that. But I'm sure wouldn't. I'd be telling him, hell no, not in my presence. Mr. Cox, no, that detracts. $300,000 whore. Yeah, I'm not going to be a party to this. Mr. Cox, that detracts from the objective. $300,000 whore. Yeah. As much as you to make the judges sign the order that take your kids away, suffer, there still is, Mr. Cox, I'm not interested in making them suffer. Let me read that again. Mr. Cox, I'm not interested in making them suffer. $300,000 whore. Yeah. Barney. Yeah. Mr. Cox, I'm just interested in Barney inaudible. Mr. Cox, sparing other kids from him. $300,000 whore. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. Cox, I think if you got the time and resources, you ought to give them proper burial, you know. $300,000 whore. Yeah. Cox, they're people too. They're made in God's image and valuable and precious. Barney, Cox, because of that, $300,000 whore. Yeah. Cox, just because of that. $300,000 whore. Just from that one factor. Mr. Cox, even if they were sitting right up here trying to kill us, just for the fact that they're made in God's image, they are valuable. $300,000 whore, even though they don't have a soul. Mr. Cox, and they need to be given dignity because of that, even if, that doesn't mean that I won't kill you, but $300,000 whore, yeah? Mr. Cox, it means you're going to have dignity. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, it doesn't mean that I wouldn't hang your body from a lamppost to deter others. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, because that's what you're condoning to the cause at this point. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, but it's an entirely different approach, and see, these are the ideas that have to be there. $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, when the stuff goes down, Barney, yeah. Cox, and I think $300,000 whore, yeah. Cox, that's quite frankly what God's preparing us to do. $300,000 whore, yeah. Mr. Cox, and I don't think I'm going to be gone forever. I might be, who knows, I hope not. But anyway, that brings us to smuggling us out of the country, or out of the... You've got a buddy, did he tell you? Barney, he told me a little bit. $300,000 whore, yeah. Okay, we're pausing there on page 401. You heard some frank talk about 241, and if they took the kids, if they killed the kids, if they killed the wives. But ultimately his plan is to get out of Alaska, and he's being prodded repeatedly by this $300,000 whore. And these are conversations that just absolutely prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that Schaeffer Cox was not planning to premeditatedly murder anybody, but he just wanted to leave town based upon all the pressure that the government informants were putting on him with the death threats.